Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition for tonight headlines. So we have the workshop to sensitize religious leaders on the value of COVID-19 vaccinations. For the international scene, Pyongyang announces testing hypersonic missile. Welcome to our newsroom. In order to promote vaccination efforts against COVID-19 in the country, the Ministry of Health, in close collaboration with the Ministry of Muslim Affairs and WAFA, organized this morning a workshop to sensitize religious leaders on the value of COVID-19 vaccination. The opening ceremony of this workshop was held at the People's Palace in the presence of the Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmed Robli Abdillah, and the Minister of Muslim Affairs, Waqf Property, Mumin Hassan Barre, as well as hundreds of ulama, preachers, and imam of mosque. This awareness workshop comes a few days after the official launch of the national strategy to accelerate vaccination against corona to prevent a new wave of the epidemic. For his part, the Minister of Muslim Affairs and Waqf Property, Mumin Hassan Barre, stressed the need to value the role played by the ulama and imam to raise awareness in society, to encourage them to adopt the anti-coronavirus vaccination campaign, and the health staff of the Ministries of Health remains mobilized to provide a quality screening service to anyone wishing to know his status. For his part, the Minister of Health, Ahmed Robli Abdillah, has indicated in his speech that the Imam of the mosque have pledged to keep pace with the relentless efforts of the Ministry of Health to fight against the spread of the virus, exploiting the pulpit of the mosque to urge the population to respect the health instructions and to accelerate the vaccination. After the official opening ceremony, Imam and Ulema were vaccinated against COVID-19 pandemic. This initiative of imams and preachers is a worthy step to evaluate the population to has not yet should be noted that the imam and preachers occupy a prominent place in society, which makes them influential in society, according to health experts. The new acting director of RTD, Mr. Aden Abdi Jama, took office today. Upon his arrival at the institution, he was welcomed by the senior officials of RTD, namely the director of the radio, Bakar Ahmed, and the deputy director of the information, Mr. Umar Ali Ige. The staff of RTD was not left out since a warm welcome was reserved to the new Director General in the hall of RTD, then followed the solemn ceremony of the handing over between the outgoing Director, Mr. Abu Bakr Ahmed, and the new Acting Director General of RTD, Mr. Aden Abdi Jama, in the presence of the Secretary General of the Ministry of Communication, Mr. Ahmed Yusuf Almi. Thereafter, the new Acting Director General of RTD, Mr. Aden Abdi Jama, held a brief meeting with the manager and staff of RTD. For his part, the new Director General of RTD, Mr. Aden Abdi Jama, welcomed his appointment and the trust placed in him by the head of state, Ismail Omar Guelleh, and the Minister of Communication in charge of Post Telecommunication, Mr. Radwan Abdullahi Bahdoun. He urged the staff of the institution to work harder in order to serve honorably the nations and the Egyptian people. In the continuity of the general inspections of the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces, which follows the assumptions of command of new commanders of the Interior Regiment. It was the turn of the region of Dakhil, where is located the Inter-Arms Regiment of Dakhil Riyadh, headed by Colonel Ibrahim Yusuf Dabbar, the new head of this regiment, to welcome this Wednesday, September 29, 2021, the General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim. This general inspections aims at making a point of situations of all of the personnel and materials and equipment in endowment in this regiment. Also, these inspections allow to have an overview of the different installations of the corps. Indeed, the Riyadh regiment is an operational regiment whose area of responsibility includes the border with Ethiopia, which is going through a difficult and tormented period in his trip. General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim was accompanied by Colonel Ibrahim Ilmi Qaib, acting Chief of Staff of the National Gendarmerie, and Colonel Abdurrahman Ali Kahin, Acting Director General of the National Police, Colonel Wais Omar Boughori, Commander of the Coast Guard, Colonel Mustafa Ali Handulle, Advisor to the President on Defense, and officers of the General Staff of the Army. Also present were the Prefect of Dakhil, Mr. Aden Darar Musa, the President of the Regional Council, Abdurrahman Yunis Arre, as well as the elders of the region. Upon descent from the Dolphin helicopters, the Chief of Staff was welcomed by Colonel Ibrahim Yusuf Dabbar, the new Chief of Staff of the Dakhil Inter-Arms Regiment, in the presence of the Prefect of Dakhil region and the President of the Regional Council. After the usual greetings, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim undertook the review of the troops composed of the soldiers of the Riyadh and a small delegation of senior officers of the General Staff of the Army. In his speech, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces, indicate that as the new Riyadh Chief of Staff, Colonel Ibrahim Yusuf Dabbar remains the first person in charge of all the troops, their materials, equipment, and infrastructure. As such, it is his responsibility to ensure the preservation and periodic maintenance of materials and equipment. At the end of the speech, the Chief of the Defense Staff was given a brief presentation of the resources available to the Riyadh. Then General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim proceeded to the inspections of the means of mobility held by this regiment of Dakhil. It should be noted that the Riyadh regiment is an operational regiment whose area of responsibility includes the border with Ethiopia, which is going through a difficult and tormented period. As a military man, it is the responsibility of every man in uniforms to guarantee at all costs the sovereignty of our country. At the end of the ceremony, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim attended a march past of the troops of the regiment Dakhil, headed by the new commander, Colonel Ibrahim Yusuf Dabbar. The ceremony ended with a refreshment and the traditional family photo. The Sudanese military hospital hosted early this morning the first operation performed on death on clip of palate, commonly called Harlip. This operation performed for the first time on Djiboutian soil by our doctors is part of a close collaboration between the health services of the armed forces and the national police. The child operated by the pediatric surgeons and captain of the national police, Isa Said Darar, and doctor captain of the armed forces, specialists in ENT, Abdi Oki Kamil, was born with a malformation that causes feeding disorders, breathing, language learning, dentition, and psychological. Since his birth, the 3-month-old child was fed with a special teeth. His cases required a surgical operation before the transition to solid food. All the conditions were optimized for the surgical interventions, which lasted at little more than an hour, and the malformations could be corrected. It is at the first hours of the morning that the mother of the little Sultan was received by medical teams mobilized for this purpose. This intervention is carried out free of charge. This will now benefit all children suffering from this pathology. After the operative preparation, the child was admitted to the block. This operation, the first of its kind, will now be carried out on a permanent basis thanks to the support of the President of the Republic and the commitment of the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim. The mayor of Djibouti City, Fatuma Awali Osman, held a preparatory meeting for the Day of Citizen Actions with local elected officials and neighborhood councils that will be organized on Saturday, October 2 in all the city of Djibouti. These meetings is organized within the framework of the great operation of cleaning in the capital in order to embellish the great road arteries of the capital. This operation consists of the removal of the raw waste and cleaning of primary roads and main squares, smearing of sidewalk, planting an tree in the neighborhoods, and awareness relating to the discharges of water on public road. Given their role to the neighborhood councils are the agents closest to the citizens and play a leading role in raising awareness and the common goals of beautifying the city of Djibouti. For her part, the mayor of Djibouti, Fatuma Awal Osman, in his speech to emphasize that the civic is an act that is an integral part of the citizens, and that's why the mayor of Djibouti reminds the population to actively participate in this day's citizen. A training workshop for trainers in pesticide spraying techniques in locust control was organized this morning of September 29, 2021 at Sheraton Hotel by the Food Agriculture Organizations of the United Nations, FAO. The theme of this training is the maintenance of materials and equipment, and this training will last from September 29 to October 3, 2021. This training is led by a consultant of FAO, Said Lanyawi, and the launch of the training was chaired by the FAO representative, Mr. Dadamanao Changai Pisong. This training workshop was attended by Ms. Adala Musa, agriculture engineers, but also several experts from the agriculturists of the capital and those of the interior regions. The FAO representative in Djibouti, Mr. Dadamanao Change Pisang, said that the theme of this training is the maintenance of materials and equipment, and this training will last from September 29 to October 3, 2021. The amphitheater rooms of the Training Center for Teacher of Basic Education, Omar Gelle Ahmed, hosted today an important ceremony to launch the initial training for students and teachers of the classes 2021-2022. The Director General of the CFF, Ms. Aisha Farah Iltire, and the Director of Training, Pedagogical Innovations and Partnership, Mr. Awali Abdulqadir Harsi, sponsored the ceremony, which was attended by senior staff of CFF and all the students, teachers who begin their initial trainings. A total of 553 students, teachers passed the recruitment exams. We saw more than 2,800 applications. These students, teachers who are going to follow theoretical trainings and practical trainings on the file will have to integrate the schools from the beginning of the next school years. The Union for Development and Cultures has received from the Italian military base and support an important batch of computer and computer equipment to equip a room. These donations will allow the UDC to initiate in computer science the teenager in schools and out of school. During the revision period, the students who have passed the baccalaureate and the STG series from the interior regions and university will be able to do research. The president of the UDC, Mr. Mohammed Khaire, would like to thank in his name and in the name of UDC the Colonel Aran Luigi Bighi and the head of the Italian military corporation, Bonfante Massimiliano, for their unfailing support to the Djiboutian civil society. As part of the fight against illicit trade, the Djiboutian customs proceeded this morning to the presentations of the requisitions and unstopped and interproduct by the military of the Rapid Intervention Battalion based in Ali Ouneh of the prefectures of Arta. These contraband goods consisting of cigarettes, different types of tablet and cosmetic product was discovered and seized in near the borders with Somaliland regions, and this during recent sweeping operations carried out in areas of illegal trafficking not far from the border between the Republic of Djibouti and Somaliland. The commander of the Rapid Intervention Battalion, Colonel Mohammed Mahmoud Assowe, to transmit to Mr. Yahya Musa, head of the head of the Customs Divisions for the region of Arta and current of head of Customs Brigade of Luada. These products are both dangerous to public health and harmful to the national economy. And for the international scene, North Korea successfully tested a hypersonic gliders missile on Tuesday. The official KCNA news agency said Wednesday, calling the test a major technological breakthrough. This successful test is of great strategic significance as Pyongyang seeks to increase its defense capabilities thousands-fold. KCNA said hypersonic missiles are much faster than conventional ballistic or cruise missile. They are also much harder to detect and intercept by missile defense systems on which the United States spends billions of dollars. The South Korean military announced the launch of a projectile by the North shortly after it was detected Tuesday morning. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.